will become theta equals c1 minus d1 into alpha 1 plus c2 minus d2 to alpha 2 plus dot dot cn minus dn alpha n. Now consider this expression. This is a scalar, this is a scalar, this is also a scalar. That means it's a linear combination of the vectors alpha 1, alpha 2 dot dot alpha n, which is equal to theta. But alpha 1, alpha 2 dot dot alpha n, this is a basis. That means it should be linearly independent, and whenever it should be linearly independent, their coefficients should always, all of the coefficients should be equal to 0 according to the definition of linear independence. So all the coefficients or all the scalars should equal to 0. That is c1 minus d1 equals 0, c2 minus d2 equals 0, dot dot cn minus dn equals 0. That is c1 equals d1, c2 equals d2, cn equals dn. Right? That means the expression is unique. As we get, if we take two expressions, we check that at last all of these scalars becomes equal. So the expression was unique. That is the necessary part of the theorem is proved. Now we need to prove the converse part. That is, whenever we will take any vector can be uniquely expressed as the linear combination of alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha n, then this alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha n, this set will form a basis. So for that reason, let any vector of V can be uniquely expressed as linear combination of B. B means alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha n, this set. Okay, so from here we can say B equals linear span of B, V equals linear span of B, because any element can be expressed as a linear combination of B. So V equals LB. That means the second condition for being a basis is satisfied. We just need to prove the first condition, that is linearly independent. So somehow if we can prove that this set B, capital B, is the linearly independent set, then our theorem will be done. So for that reason, we are considering, suppose theta belongs to V, right? Now whenever we get any vector belongs to V, it has an expression as the linear combination of the elements of B. So theta also got one expression. That means theta can also be written as c1 alpha 1 plus c2 alpha 2 plus dot dot cn alpha n, right? Now left hand side is 0. That means what about the coefficient on the right hand side? This all should be 0, because otherwise left and right hand side both won't be equal. So for the equality, this c1 equals 0, c2 equals 0 and dot dot cn equals 0. That means we have considered this expression, and from there we get all the coefficient becomes 0. So what we can conclude from this two result? We can conclude that alpha 1, alpha 2 dot dot alpha n, this set is linearly independent, because this is the condition for being linear independence. That is, all the coefficients should be equal to 0, which we get here. That is c1, c2 dot dot cn is equal to 0. So alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha n, this set will be linearly independent. That means this set is satisfying the two conditions for being a basis. So B is a basis of V. This proves the theorem. Okay. Next we will prove one new theorem, which is called extension theorem, which we haven't used in the previous class. So first we will prove this theorem, then we will check few examples using this theorem. So at first statement, it states that any linearly independent set of vectors in a finite dimensional vector space is either a basis or it can be extended to a basis. So any linearly independent set is either a basis or it can be extended to a basis. obviously it is applicable in a finite dimensional vector space, because if the vector space is of infinite dimension, then we cannot do this. So for any finite dimensional vector space, any linearly independent set, either it is a basis or it can be extended to a basis. So let us consider proof. Let us consider S equals alpha 1 alpha 2 dot dot alpha r is a linearly independent set of the vector space capital V. Okay, that means S is a subset of V. So from here we can write LS is a subset of LV. We have already proved this theorem. This LS subset of V, because LV and V both are same, as V is a vector space. So LS is a subset of V. Whenever S is a subset of V, LS is a subset of V. Now if LS equals V, that means it is not a proper subset. So if LS equals V, then what will happen? This is a linearly independent set and it is spanning the whole vector space. That means S is a basis of V, right? Then there is nothing to prove. Now if let the second condition we are taking, second case, that is if LS is not equal to V, that means LS is a proper subset of V, then we need to extend S to a basis. So for that reason, in that case V minus LS is not equal to phi, that is not equal to empty set. There are some element at least. Suppose this is our V and this is LS in that case. So there must be some element in that position which is belongs to V but not in LS. So let us consider beta belongs to V minus LS. Okay, then we are considering this set alpha 1 alpha 2 dot dot alpha r comma beta. Okay, now let's check this is linearly independent or linearly dependent. So for that reason we are considering this expression C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2 plus dot dot CR alpha r plus B beta equals to theta. Let's check this, all the scalars become 0 or non-zero. If all the scalars become 0, then we can say this is a linearly independent set, and if at least one of them is non-zero, then this set will be linearly dependent. Now here we assert that beta B, this scalars B is equals to 0. We are claiming that B equals to 0. Why are we claiming that? Because if suppose B not equal to 0, that means B inverse exists in F, right? So from there, from this expression, what we can write? B beta equals minus C1 alpha 1 minus C2 alpha 2 dot dot minus CR alpha r, that is pre-multiplying by B inverse, we will get beta equals B inverse C1 alpha 1 plus dot dot, that is D1 alpha 1 plus D2 alpha 2 plus dot dot dr alpha r, right? Beta can be written as the linear combination of alpha 1 alpha 2 dot dot alpha r. That means this belongs to linear span of alpha 1 alpha 2 dot dot alpha r, this set, right? But we have chosen this set means our S, so this is equals LS, so beta belongs to LS, but we have chosen beta belongs to V minus LS, that is beta cannot belongs to LS, so which is a contradiction. So from here we can conclude this case cannot be happen, that is B not equal to 0, this isn't true. So from there we can claim that beta B equals to 0. So consider this expression, put B equal to 0 here. What will we get? If we put B equal to 0, we will get C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2 plus dot dot CR alpha r equals to theta. Now we have chosen alpha 1 alpha 2 dot dot alpha r as a linearly independent set. Then from here we can conclude all the coefficients should be 0. So C1 equal to 0, equal to C2, equal to dot dot CR, all are 0, and we got it that B equal to 0. So we have started with this expression, this one, and we get all the coefficients becomes equal to 0. That means this set is a linearly independent set, because if we get at least one of them is non-zero, then it will become linearly dependent, but we get that all the coefficient must be equal to 0. So this set is a linearly independent set. We are naming this new set as S1. So in the next step we are writing S1 equals alpha 1 alpha 2 dot dot alpha r comma beta. Okay, now S1 is a subset of V. All the elements are the vectors of V. So L of S1 is also a subset of V. Now if L of S1 equals V, then S1 will form a new basis. That means S can be extended to the new basis S1. S can be extended in that case to a new basis S1. And if LS1 not equal to V, that means LS1 is a proper subset of V, then we can apply the previous example again, previous procedure again, then we will get some new set which will be S2. And if LS2 equal to V, then S2 will be our new extended basis, and if not, then we will apply again the same procedure, we will get S3. If it is a basis, then okay, if not, then we will apply again, we will get S4 and so on. And this step will terminate after a finite number of steps, because we have V as a finite dimensional vector space. So obviously this step will terminate after a finite number of steps. So after applying finite number of few steps, we will get a new set, suppose S5 or S6, whatever. This will be a new extended basis. Okay, so for a finite dimensional vector space, whenever we get a linearly independent set, either it is a basis or it can be extended to a new basis. This is the proof of extension theorem. Now we need to memorize the procedure of proving, that is how will we extend this new basis, that is how will we introduce new vectors in the old basis or in the old linearly independent set in order to get a new basis. We need to understand this procedure, because this procedure we will apply to solve the problems. So moving to problem solving, write down extend the set 1 1 1 1 comma 1 minus 1 1 minus 1, this set to a basis of r to the power 4, to a basis of r to the power 4. That means we have to apply extension theorem here. Clearly this is not a basis of r to the power 4, because r to the power 4 means dimension 4. That is, in basis it should contain 4 elements. There are only 2 elements. That means we need to get 2 new elements such that all these 4 elements could make a basis. So for that reason, how will we get new elements? Procedure is, we just need to take, there are already 2 elements present, right? For any set of r to the power n, we have a standard basis 1 0 0, then 0 1 0 0, then 0 0 1 0, and so on. We get a standard basis. Just from the standard basis we need to take new elements. As first 2 elements are given here, so we are considering the third element of the standard basis set. Let us consider epsilon 3, naming it as epsilon 3. What is the third element of the standard basis of r to the power 4? It is 0 0 1 0. Now here we want to this epsilon 3, we want this element to our new basis. So what is the procedure of the extension theorem? We just need to check that this epsilon 3 cannot be expressed as a linear combination of these two. If it can be expressed, then the new set will become linearly dependent, right? So we just need to check the epsilon 3 can be expressed as a linear combination of these two or not. If no, then we can add this epsilon 3 to our new basis, and if yes, then we cannot, we need to check for the further procedure. So for that reason, what we are considering the linear expression. Let's check we get any valid value of C1 C2 or not. So what will we get? 0 equals C1 plus C2, then 0 equals C1 minus C2, then 1 equals C1 plus C2, 0 equals C1 minus C2, right? By comparing we get this one. Now check this expression and this expression. C1 plus C2 equal to 0 and C1 plus C2 equal to 1. So from these two, what we can write? 0 equal to 1. Is this true? No, this is always absurd. So the system of equations is inconsistent. That means it has no solution. So this epsilon 3 can't be expressed as linear combination of the given vectors. So the given vectors, this 1 1 1 1 comma 1 minus 1 1 minus 1 comma this epsilon 3 is linearly independent, obviously, because it is cannot be expressed as the linear combination of the remaining others. So this is the linearly independent set. But still this is not a basis because it contains only 3 vectors. We need one more vector for becoming a basis of r to the power 4. So for that reason, what we are considering? We are considering another vector epsilon 4, which will be the 4th vector of our standard basis. So let epsilon 4, introducing new vector. What is the 4th vector of the standard basis? It is 0 0 0 1. Now we want to introduce this epsilon 4 in this set. And the rule is we just need to check that epsilon 4 cannot be expressed as the linear combination of these 3 vectors. So let's check it can be expressed or not. So let us consider the expression epsilon 4, that means 0 0 0 1 equals some d1 into the first vector plus d2 into the second vector plus d3 into the third vector, which is epsilon 3, that is 0 0 1 0. Now compare both sides. What will we get? 0 equals d1 plus d2, then 0 equals d1 minus d2, then 0 equals d1 plus d2 plus d3, and then 1 equals d1 minus d2. Check the second equation and fourth equation. d1 minus d2 is 0 and 1, that means 0 equal to 1, which is absurd. So this is inconsistent system. That means it has no solution. So epsilon 4 can't be expressed as the linear combination of these 3 vectors, right? So from here we can say these 4 vectors comma epsilon 3, writing its value 0 0 1 0, then 0 0 0 1. This is a linearly independent set, obviously, and it is, we are talking about in r to the power 4. So 4 number of elements are there and this is linearly independent. That means this will form a new basis of r to the power 4. Okay. So this is how we apply extension theorem and get new basis for, or the extended basis for a particular vector space. Next I am giving you another example. Extend the set to a basis of r cube. Next example. Extend the set to obtain a basis of r cube, where the set is this one 1 2 1 comma 2 1 1. exactly the same procedure as that of the previous one. Rather it will become easier because it is r cube, so we need total 3 vectors. 2 are already present here. You just have to apply one time the extension theorem to get the 3 vectors of the new basis. Okay, so this will be your homework. Just apply one times extension theorem, you will get the required result. And in the last class I have asked you one question, that is what will be the dimension of the vector space C over the field R. What will be its dimension? Here C is our V and R is our F. That means the set of complex number form a vector space over the field of real numbers. Then what will be its dimension? Or can you find any basis for this vector space or not? The answer will be dimension is equals to 2 and the basis will be 1, I. This one. Because if you check any element of C, what is of the form, any element of C is of the form A plus BI, right, where A comma B belongs to R, which is our required field. That means if you take this element as the basis element 1, I, clearly they are linearly independent, and if you take these two as a basis 1, I, then any element can be expressed as the linear combination of 1, I, because this is the actual element of our given vector space C or set of complex numbers. So 1, I will form a basis and its dimension will be 2.